Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So my name is Muhammad Azim bin Muhammad Ishadi. Now I will be answering the question about how the concept of global village impacts organizations and also managers. So first of all, what is global village? So global village is a boundaryless world where goods and services are produced and marketed worldwide. So the global village highlights the concept which is people throughout the world are interconnected through the use of new media technologies that allows people to experience events, cultures, and ideas from across the globe. So with globalizations, we live in a world that's more connected than ever, where businesses can operate and compete globally. But what exactly does the effect of this global village for organizations and managers? So let's break it out. So for organizations, they can access global markets, which is organizations now have the opportunity to reach customers across the world. This means a larger potential customer base and more revenue opportunities. But with this access comes increased competitions from international companies. Businesses must work harder to stand out. And for the next one is they also can have diverse consumers demands. With different cultures come with different consumer needs and preferences. So companies must adapt their products or marketing strategies to varied cultural and consumer preferences, or in other words is to suit the taste of each local market, which is adapting products and services to fit the unique needs of each regional market, which may also involve altering market strategies, product features, or even packaging. So for example, a fast food chain may need to change its menu in different countries to appeal to local tastes. And the last one is increased competitions, which is in the global village competition, it is intense. So companies are no longer just competing with local businesses, but also with organizations worldwide. So this forces them to innovate and differentiate themselves to attract more customers. So now we take a look at how globalization also affects managers, which is managing a business in global village brings unique challenges that require special skills and awareness for managers. So for the first one is cultural competitions. Managers need to understand and respect cultural differences to build strong relationships with international teams and partners. So this means navigating language barriers, different work ethics, and social customs, which is essential for building trust and strong relationships with global partners and teams. And the second one is the adaptability to regulations. So managers must stay up to date with different international laws and regulations. This includes adjusting hiring practices, trade agreements, and compliance standards, so the business operates smoothly and avoids legal issues. And for the last one is supply chain coordinations. So managing supply chains across borders require careful coordinations. So managers have to work with suppliers and logistics teams in multiple countries, while also preparing for unexpected challenges like delays or political issues. So that is the effect which is global village make to the organization and also to the managers. So everyone, let's move on to question 2, which is we will be discussing how society's expectations are influencing managers and organizations. So in recent years, people have started to expect more from businesses than just products or services. So now, companies are being evaluated on their ethics, social responsibility, and their contributions to society. So, we talk about demand for corporate social responsibility, which is CSR. So let's start with the rising demand for corporate social responsibility, or CSR. So society increasingly expect companies to contribute to the greater goods, not just to profit from their customers. So we take one of the example company, which is Tom's Shoes as an examples. Tom's operates on a 1-for-1 model, where for every pair of shoes sold, they donate a pair to a child in need. This approach, where business success is linked with social impact, is a powerful way to show commitment to CSR. So companies like Tom's are proving that businesses can balance social goals with profitability, and society now expects more companies to follow this model of social contributions. So next, let's clarify 3 important terms that help us understand different levels of business commitment to society. So the first one is social obligations, the second one is social responsibility, and the third one is social responsiveness. So for the social obligation, it is the minimum standard, which is it's when companies follow laws and regulations to stay compliant, meeting only the basic requirement. And for the social responsibility, it goes a step further. This is where companies go beyond just doing what legally required and take action because it is morally or ethically the right thing to do. And finally, social responsiveness is when companies respond to emerging social issues in real time. This might include actions like using recycled material to address environmental concerns or providing flexible work hours in response to changing social expectations. So these different approaches give managers options on how to engage with society, but they also highlight that society now expects businesses to act more than they legally have to. People want companies to make meaningful contribution to social well-being.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, I am Hidayah Afiq bin Hamizi, and today I will be going to answer question 3.3, which is whether managers should be parochialistic or not. And we as a team had decided that managers should not be parochialistic, and these are the reasons. So let's go. First and foremost, a parochial mindset can limit innovations and growth by keeping managers locked into a familiar practices, much like taking the same route every day and missing new sites. When managers rely only on local norms, they often overlook better solutions and miss the bigger picture. However, embracing diverse ideas from different regions, industries, or team perspectives can inspire creative problem solving and open doors to new opportunities. By staying receptive to fresh ideas, managers not only find solution for current challenges but also stay competitive in a fast evolving business landscape. Avoiding a narrow view enables managers to respond effectively to change, driving growth and leading their teams toward breakthrough achievements. Moving on to the next point, which is a parochial mindset can hinder a company's adaptability in a globalized world. Today, businesses compete and grow on an international scale where managers need to recognize global opportunities, not just local ones. Managers who ignore international trends or diverse customer expectations may miss valuable market insights and growth opportunities. These narrow views can also prevent valuable partnerships with international businesses, thus limiting access to unique resources and networks. In a world where adaptability is a key, a parochial approach restricts a company's potential for expansion, innovation, and meaningful global connections. Last but not least, of course, a parochial mindset often leads to poor decision making as managers focus too narrowly on their immediate environment. This limits their perspective, leading to biased choices that overlook a broader insight and potential improvements. Effective management requires gathering diverse views, considering global trends, and seeking cross-departmental data. Managers relying only on local knowledge risk making short-sighted decisions that may harm the company on a larger scale. By broadening their perspective, managers can make better choices that align with the organization's long-term goals and growth. Now, let's move on to the question 3.4. What are the managerial implications of Hofstede's research and culture environment, and also the globe study? First point of Hofstede's research, for information, power distance refers to the extent to which less powerful members of a society accept and expect unequal power distribution. In high power distance cultures such as India, Mexico, and the Philippines, hierarchical structures are common and authority is respected. For example, in Indian organizations, employees may hesitate to question their superiors as respect for authority is deeply ingrained in the culture. Decisions are often made at the top with little input from low-level employees. In low-power distance cultures like Denmark, Sweden, and New Zealand, there is a strong preferences for equality and hierarchies are less pronounced. For instance, in Denmark, employees at all levels are encouraged to share their ideas and provide feedback. Managers are approachable and decision making is often collaborative. Managers working in high power distance cultures might adopt a more directive approach, ensuring that they provide clear instructions and maintain authority. In contrast, managers in low power distance cultures can foster open communication and encourage input from employees at all levels. Right. The second point, which is individualism versus collectivism. This dimension examines whether people prefer to work as individuals or as part of a group. In individualistic cultures such as United States, United Kingdom, and Canada, personal achievement and individual are highly valued. For example, in the US, employees are often recognized for their individual contributions and there is a focus on personal success. Individual performance is rewarded and employees are encouraged to take initiative. In collectivistic cultures like China, Japan, and Colombia, loyalty to the group is more important than the individual achievement. In Japan, employees typically value team harmony over individual recognitions. Decisions are often made with the group's interest in mind and collaboration is highly valued. Employees may feel a stronger sense of loyalty to their colleagues and the company as a whole. Managers in individualistic cultures can motivate employees through individual recognitions and rewards. In collectivistic cultures, they may focus on team-based incentives and emphasize the importance of group cohesion. Moving on to the next point, which is uncertainty avoidance, refers to the extent to which people feel comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. In high uncertainty avoidance cultures like Greece, Portugal, and Japan, there is a preferences for rule structures and stability. For instance, in Japan, businesses have detailed protocols and procedures to minimize ambiguity, and employees may prefer a structured work environment with clear instructions. High uncertainty avoidance cultures tend to be more risk averse, and employees may be reluctant to take on projects without a clear plan. In low uncertainty avoidance cultures such as Singapore, Sweden, and the United Kingdom, people are more comfortable with ambiguity and are open to new ideas. In the UK, for example, there is often greater flexibility in business processes and employees may be more willing to experiment with innovative approaches. These cultures are generally more comfortable with change and are willing to take risks. Alright, the next point, the fourth point, which is the long-term versus short-term. This dimension considers whether a culture values long-term planning and perseverances or short-term results and traditions. So, long-term oriented cultures like China, South Korea, and Germany emphasize persistence planning, and deferred gratifications. For example, in China, companies often set long-term goals and invest in relationships that may yield benefits year down the line. There is a strong emphasis on education, saving, and sustainable growth. While short-term oriented cultures such as United States, Canada, and Nigeria prioritize quick results and upholding traditions. In the US, businesses often focus on quarterly profits and short-term achievements. There's a strong emphasis on innovations, quick decision-making, and meeting immediate goals. Maintaining tradition is also important, though there is a generally more focus on immediate success. Managers in a long-term oriented cultures can focus on strategic planning, continuous improvement, and patience. In short-term oriented cultures, they may prioritize quick wins, immediate goals, and rapid decision making to align with the cultural expectations. Last but not least, achievement versus nurturing examines whether a culture values competition and achievement or cooperation and quality of life. Achievement-oriented cultures such as Japan and the United States and of course Germany emphasize competitions, success, and material rewards. For example, in Japan, there is a strong focus on hard work and success, and employees often put in long hours to achieve career goals. And we have achievement-oriented cultures value assertiveness and may have a more competitive work environment. Nurturing cultures such as Sweden, the Netherlands, we have Norway, value quality of life, cooperation, and caring for others. In Sweden, work-life balance is a priority, and organizations emphasize employee well-being and social support. Nurturing cultures are more likely to encourage collaboration and view success in terms of quality of life rather than competitions. Managers in achievement-oriented cultures can foster a competitive environment and focus on rewarding individuals' accomplishments. In nurturing cultures, they might promote work-life balance, team collaboration, and a supportive work environment. Alright, first off, we start with assertiveness, which refers to how much a culture encourages individuals to be direct, confrontational, and competitive. In high assertiveness cultures like Germany and the United States, people value direct communication and assertive behavior. For instance, in German workplace, it is common for employees to give honest, straightforward feedback, even if it is critical. Employees and managers alike are comfortable with open debate, and competition among colleagues is often encouraged. This directness is seen as a way to improve performance and efficiency. On the other hand, in low assertiveness cultures such as Japan and New Zealand, maintaining harmony is more important than confrontation. In Japan, for instance, the employee may avoid direct criticism in meetings and prefer to address issues indirectly or through non-verbal cues. A manager in this context would focus on a more polite, consensus-based approach, encouraging feedback without putting anyone on the spot. By recognizing the level of assertiveness in a culture, managers can adapt their communication style. Alright, the next point we have future orientations, which is measure how much a society values a long-term planning, investment in the future, and delayed gratification. In high future-oriented cultures like Singapore and South Korea, organizations emphasize long-term planning and investment for future growth. For instance, companies in Singapore often invest heavily in employee development, training, and education to build a skilled workforce for the future. This might also mean prioritizing projects with a long-term payoff rather than expecting the immediate result. Leaders in these cultures are expected to have a forward-thinking mindset and to set goals that benefit the organizations over the long term. In low future-oriented cultures such as Egypt and Russia, there is a stronger focus on the present and achieving immediate results. For example, Russian companies might prioritize short-term success over long-term strategic planning, often valuing quick wins that generate immediate revenue. Managers in these cultures are typically expected to show immediate results, and there's a greater emphasis on tradition and past successes. Understanding future orientations help managers set goals that match cultural preferences. Right, the third point we have performance orientations, which refers to the degree to which culture values and encourages performance, achievement, and excellence. High performance oriented cultures like the United States and the Switzerland prioritize measurable achievement and set high standards for success. In the US, for example, companies often reward employees based on individual performance metrics, and success is measured through tangible results. These cultures encourages employees to take initiative, innovate, and outperform their peers. Managers in such setting are expected to set clear goals and use data-driven evaluations. In low performance-oriented cultures such as Argentina and Greece, the emphasis is often on loyalty, relationships, and less on strict performance metrics. For instance, in Argentina, employees may be valued for their long-term commitment to the company rather than just their individual achievement. Building trust and maintaining strong relationships are often considered more important than exceeding performance targets. Managers who understand performance orientation can tailor rewards and evaluation systems. Right now, we have human orientation, which is the degree to which a society encourages individuals to be fair, altruistic, and generous, and also caring. In high human-oriented cultures like the Philippines and the island, there is a strong emphasis on community and caring for others. For example, in the Philippines, companies often prioritize employees' well-being and may offer extensive family leave or community support programs. Managers in these cultures are expected to be more compassionate and to create a supportive environment where employees feel valued and cared for. In low human-oriented cultures such as France and Germany, efficiency and task-oriented behavior may take precedence over personal support. For instance, in Germany, their workplace interactions are often more formal and focused on achieving objectives. Managers might be more task-oriented and expect employees to be self-reliant, with less emphasis on creating a nurturing environment. By recognizing human orientation, managers can adjust their approach.
So now we will be discussing the fifth question on how might the cultural differences in the globe dimensions affect how managers use work groups. We have 2 points. The first one would be individualism versus collectivism, and the second one would be power distance. So for the individualism versus collectivism, for individualistic cultures like United States and Canada, managers may encourage their employee for independent work and value personal contributions over group efforts. In contrast, for the collectivist cultures like Mexico and Singapore, managers are more likely to use work groups and emphasize teamwork, as employees tend to prioritize group goals and harmony. So for the second point, power distance. In high power distance cultures like France and Mexico, managers may make decisions for the group and expect compliance without much input from employees. While for the low power distance cultures like Sweden and Australia, managers may adopt a more democratic approach, encouraging group input and participation in decision making. Now let's go to the next question on how might the cultural differences in the globe dimensions affect how managers develop goals or plans. In this one, we will discuss about long-term versus short-term orientation and achievement versus nurturing. So in cultures with a long-term orientation, such as Japan, they focus on future goals and persistence. So managers may develop detailed and strategic plan. Conversely, in short-term oriented cultures such as the US and Canada, they prioritize immediate results, and managers might focus on more adaptable and short-term goals. So for achievement versus nurturing, in achievement-oriented cultures such as US and Australia, managers may emphasize on ambitious goals and performance target, while for the nurturing-oriented cultures like Sweden, goals may focus on more on work-life balance, relationships, and community well-being rather than purely on performance. Now let's examine on how cultural differences influence rewards. So we will be focusing on individualism versus collectivism and achievement versus nurturing. So for individualism versus collectivism, in collectivist cultures like Mexico, group rewards are more effective because they align with the team-focused mindset. Conversely, in individualistic cultures like Canada or England, personal achievements are highlighted and rewarded. For achievement versus nurturing, in achievement-oriented cultures, rewards are tied to individual performance, such as bonus or public recognition. For example, employees in the US may value financial incentives. In nurturing cultures like Sweden, rewards are often on team-based, recognizing group contributions and fostering collaboration. Finally, let's look at how managers handle employees' conflicts. So there will be 2 points we'll talk about: power distance and uncertainty avoidance. So for power distance, in high power distance cultures such as Mexico or Singapore, employees may avoid confrontation and expect managers to resolve conflicts privately. In low power distance cultures like Sweden, they usually open discussions and direct resolution are encouraged. For the uncertainty avoidance, high uncertainty avoiding cultures like France or Mexico, they prefer structured procedures for conflict resolution to minimize ambiguity. While for the low uncertainty avoidance cultures like Singapore or the US, they adopt a more flexible approach, favoring negotiation and compromise. So in conclusion, Hofstede's cultural dimension, they provide a framework for understanding how culture shapes workplace practice. So by recognizing and adapting to these differences, managers can foster better communication, improve team collaboration, and drive organizational success in a globalized world.
Now let's begin with the summary of case application number 1. The topic is global organization, global ethics, and social responsibility. Let's begin with the first point. The first point is electric vehicles or EVs are becoming increasingly common with a massive shift anticipated in the global auto industry. The next point is experts predict that by 2040, 1/3 of all global vehicles will be EVs, with major demand in Europe, the United States, and China. EVs rely heavily on lithium-ion batteries instead of oil, leading to reduced demand for oil and implications for oil exporting countries. Lithium-ion batteries, essential for EVs, require cobalt. Congo holds the largest cobalt reserve, although China dominates the refining process. Chinese companies have invested heavily in controlling the battery market, refining most of the world's cobalt and lithium-ion battery chemicals. One of them is Contemporary Amperex Technology Ltd, or CATL. A Chinese company is rapidly growing as an EV battery producer with significant investment and expansions. CATL is building a large battery plant in Ningde, China, aiming to become a key global player and second only to Tesla's Nevada Gigafactory. CATL's goal is to lead in global battery production, challenging established players in Europe and the US. CATL's global expansion may face challenges such as market entry barriers and competition from local manufacturers in different countries. CATL has already secured deals in Finland, France, and Germany, signaling its intent to establish a strong presence outside China.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Felicia, and as for today, we are going to discuss about how does this case illustrates the global village. Now, today I would like to discuss the concept of global interconnection and dependence, focusing on how our world functions as a highly interconnected global village where events in one part of the world can significantly affect others. To begin with, the global village concept reflects the idea that the world is a vast network of interactions where industries, resources, and even events are linked across borders. A good example of this interconnection can be seen in industry such as electric vehicle production, where local developments in one country have far-reaching consequences across the globe. Now, one key resource that illustrates this interdependence is cobalt, which is primarily mined in Republic of Congo. This local resource is essential in production of lithium-ion batteries used in a variety of technologies, including electric vehicles and smartphones. As such, Congo's cobalt production plays a crucial role in empowering industries worldwide, highlighting local resources can shape global markets. Furthermore, we see another layer of global dependence through China's dominance in battery production. As one of the largest producers of batteries, China controls a significant portion of the world supply, influencing global supply chains and impacting markets in Europe and the US. The control over this resource has profound effect on both technological advancement and economics policies across nations. In conclusions, the world today is a highly interconnected system where the connections or actions of one country can have a ripple effect across the globe. As industries such as electric vehicle production grow, we must continue to recognize the address the dependencies that tie us all together, from resource extraction in Congo to manufacturing dominance in China. One of the key aspects of the global economy cross-border influences. As mentioned earlier, China's dominance in battery production heavily relies on Congo's cobalt. This independence directly impacts the global battery supply, affecting everything from the electric vehicle to consumer electronics. Another example of this global strategy in CATL's expansions. As one of the world's largest battery producers, CATL's move into markets like Europe and the US shows how companies can adapt to global demand while strategically positioning themselves in local markets for greater influence and profitability. In conclusion, this situation exemplifies the global village concept where the economies and production processes of the countries are deeply interconnected. What happens in one region ripples out of the effect of global market, highlighting the importance of the collaboration and strategic positioning in today's interconnected world. Now, I'll be walking you through CATL's global expansion strategy and how the company's strategic approach helps it succeed in the highly competitive electric vehicle battery industry. First, let's talk about CATL's global expansion strategy. In order to meet the increasing local demand and comply with regional regulations, CATL has strategically set up the production facilities in key regions, particularly in Europe. By partnering with global automakers, CATL tailors its market strategies to fit the unique needs of each region, ensuring that their products and services align with local consumers' demands and regulatory requirements. Moving on to the local strategic reliance, CATL has streamlined its global production processes but also makes key adjustments to accommodate regional specifications. This allows the company to maintain efficiency while ensuring their products are suited to the specific demands of various markets. By focusing on both market access and cultural competence, CATL collaborations with international partners to further strengthen its position in the global marketplace. Next, we are going to look at global sourcing. CATL relies 100% on the global sourcing of raw materials such as cobalt from Democratic Republic of Congo to secure the necessary resources for battery production. This strategy ensures a steady and sustainable supply of critical materials, which is vital for CATL's continued growth in the global market. Now, in terms of importing, CATL conducts transactions between different countries, which facilitates the smooth exchange of goods and resources across the borders, further enhancing their global support chain. In conclusion, by employing a transnational approach, CATL successfully leverages its global resources while adapting to local market needs. This approach embodies the essence of operating in global village, where the company is not only connected to the broader global economy, but is also highly responsive to the specific needs of local markets. It's a perfect example of how global companies can thrive by balancing the interconnected world of business with a deep understanding of regional dynamics.
Assalamualaikum and hi. So today I'm going to answer the question about what kind of MNC do you think CATL is, and explain your choice. CATL is a global multinational corporation, specifically a leading player in the electric vehicle battery industry. The reason why is because CATL is global operations and expansion plans. CATL is not limited to its home base in China, it is expanding internationally with plans to enter markets in Europe and the United States. The company is clearly aiming for international reach, which is characteristic of a multinational corporation. Secondly, CATL focus to international market. CATL is targeting major global markets such as Europe and the United States to extend its footprint. It is adapting to foreign markets by acquiring local partners and manufacturers like its contract manufacturer in Finland, indicating its strategy of internationalizing operations to become global leader. The third reason is because the strategic partnerships and government support. CATL is forming strategic partnerships including with foreign automakers, which they are focusing on securing contracts with foreign automakers and building large-scale production facilities abroad. Its strategic moves such as building a $1.3 billion battery production complex in Ningde, China, as well as exploring markets like Europe and the US. This suggests that CATL's growth is supported by both market-driven for multinational firms navigating foreign markets. Fourthly, because the market dominance. With plans to surpass all competitors combined in terms of production capacity, CATL is positioning itself as a global leader in battery production, aiming to become the world's largest EV battery manufacturer. And lastly, diverse product supply. While CATL's primary focus is on EV batteries, its business is linked to a range of industries, including energy storage, consumer electronics, and automotive manufacturers globally. Therefore, CATL fits the profile of an multinational company with a transnational focus, as it seeks to combine true partnerships in China and expansion into Europe and the US, with global coordination to achieve economies of scale and dominate the global EV battery market. I will answer the next question, which is how would holistic dimensions of national culture and globe findings be useful to CATL's management as it moves to Europe and eventually the United States. So, let's talk about holistic dimensions of national culture. CATL's management can use these dimensions to better navigate cultural differences and adjust its approach when expanding into Europe and the US. Power distance. China has a relatively high power distance, meaning hierarchies and authority are more centralized. As CATL expands to Europe and the US, where power distance to be lower. By this, management will need to adapt by fostering more decentralized decision-making and promoting open communication. Individualism or collectivism. China has a more collectivist culture with a focus on group harmony and family-like relationships within companies. In contrast, Europe and the US tends to be more individualistic, emphasizing personal achievement and autonomy. So means that CATL's management should be prepared to encourage more individual responsibility and reward personal contributions in these regions. Moving to globe findings. Globe findings can be useful by following these dimensions. Assertiveness. Cultures like the US and some European countries, such as Germany and the UK, they value assertiveness, where direct communication and decisiveness are key. On the other hand, China values a more subtle, which is indirect approach. CATL's management will need to train its employees to adjust their communication style to be more direct in the US and Europe. Future orientation. China has a strong future orientation, while the US and Europe tend to focus more on present concerns and immediate benefits. So CATL should tailor its messaging and leadership practices to emphasize long-term benefits and planning in China, while focusing on achieving present goals and tangible results in the US and Europe. All in all, by applying these dimensions to CITS management can better understand the cultural landscape in Europe and the US, ensuring smoother market entry, more effective leadership, and stronger customer and employee engagement. So that's all from me. Thank you.
The question is, does this response by these companies fall under this classical view of social responsibility or the socio-economic view of social responsibility? And the scenario in this case is basically 14% of the cobalt that is used for battery mining is produced by freelancers, and freelancers most sometimes use child laborers, and they are not equipped with safety matters, proper safety gears, so that can lead to very risky injuries. But in this case, many US and European companies they don't do business with these freelancers, and this response by US and European companies reflect the socio-economic view of social responsibility. And here's why. First one is social and ethical concerns. US and European companies are steering clear of cobalt sourced from Congo's freelancers due to child labor and unsafe conditions. This choice highlights their commitment to ethical sourcing and worker welfare, not just profits. And second one is sustainability and corporate image. These companies see the value in upholding a good social reputation and meeting consumers' demand for ethical sourcing. By avoiding cobalt tied to child labor, they're aligning with societal values on human rights and sustainability. And the last one is long-term social impact. By avoiding suppliers linked to unethical practices, these companies help reduce the demand for unethically sourced cobalt. And this approach reflects a focus on long-term image of the company and societal benefits over short-term profit. So the second question is, look at the definition of social responsibility and discuss the ethical factors in this scenario. So the first thing we're going to do is discuss what is social responsibility. So social responsibility is a business firm's intention beyond its legal and economic obligations to do the right things and act in ways that are good for society. So if a company obeys the law, has economic interests, and views a business as a moral agent, they're considered socially responsible. And the next part is what are the ethical factors? And the ethical factors in this scenario are basically environmental responsibility, human rights and labor conditions, and corporate accountability. So about environmental responsibility, the shift to EV supports the sustainability by cutting emissions, but on the other hand, companies must address the environmental impact of lithium-ion battery mining, because 1 ton of mined lithium emits almost 15 ton of carbon dioxide. That is very unhealthy and very impactful for society and environment. And the second one is human rights and labor conditions. Companies must look up to human rights, source cobalt ethically, and avoid suppliers that exploit workers and involve child labor. And the last one is corporate accountability. EV companies have an ethical duty to ensure transparent, responsible supply chains, avoiding unethical suppliers, and supporting fair labor and environmental standards.
Now, let's moving on to the summary of case application number 2. The topic is protect the bees. The first point is pest impact on agriculture. Pests destroy 10 to 16% of global crops annually, leading to economic losses and affecting small farmers who rely on these crops for subsistence. The next one is pests are mobile, spreading diseases and invasive organisms through trade, worsening their impact worldwide. Companies like Bayer produce pesticides to combat pests, with Bayer being a major global player in crop science and pest control. Bayer asserts that its pesticides are safe for humans, animals, and the environment, meeting regulatory standards and being tested regularly. However, environmental groups argue that pesticides harm ecosystems by contaminating soil, water, plants, and organisms, raising concerns about long-term sustainability. Neonicotinoids, a type of pesticide, have been linked to bee deaths, a significant issue as bees are vital for pollination and food production. So, the European Union has banned 3 neonicotinoids due to their adverse effects on bees, one of which is manufactured by Bayer. Bayer argues that its pesticides are safe when used as directed and warns that the ban could lead to negative consequences for agriculture due to limited pest control options. Bayer suggests exploring other methods to protect bees rather than imposing an outright ban on neonicotinoids. Lastly, environmentalists support the ban, backed by studies indicating that reducing pesticide use won't significantly impact crop yields, aligning with broader sustainability goals.
Hello everyone, today I'll be discussing about case application number 2 with the topic of protecting the bees. Chapter 3, question number 16. Do you think the European Union's ban one of the Bayer's product in Europe will affect its use and reputation in other territories? Why? Yes, the European Union bans on Bayer's neonicotinoid pesticide could significantly impact both the use of this product and Bayer's reputation globally. The European Union is known for having rigorous environmental and health standards, and its decision often set a precedent that influence other regions. Countries outside Europe may start to question the safety of this chemical, especially as awareness grows around the importance of pollinators like bees in maintaining food security. This could lead to further restriction or bans on similar pesticides worldwide, especially as environmental groups push for the global standard. Plus, Bayer's reputation might suffer as the ban could be perceived as an indication that the company's products are harmful to the ecosystem. Consumers, farmers, and environmental advocates are becoming more increasingly concerned with the sustainable practice, and such a ban may cast a doubt on Bayer's commitment to environmental responsibility. In markets where the sustainable is a priority, such as North America and Japan, Bayer may face pressure from both regulators and consumers to reformulate its product or to adopt more transparent practice regarding product safety and environmental impact. However, it's possible that some regions with high agricultural demand might continue using Bayer's product, especially if the alternatives are not readily available or more costly. Moving on to the next question, do you think that the environmentalists have exaggerated the dangers of Bayer's product to the bees? For me, I don't believe the environmentalists have overstated the dangers. There's strong scientific evidence to support their concern. The European Food Safety Authority, along with other studies, has shown that neonicotinoid chemical used in the Bayer's product are harmful to the bees. Bees are vital pollinators for many the world food crop, and their decline threatens global food security. Scientists agree that the pesticides are one of the major reasons for bee deaths, along with other factors like habitat loss and disease. The European Union ban was based on this research, highlighting the risks of these chemicals posed to the bees population. Environmentalists argue that the protecting bees is essential for maintaining ecosystem and the food supply. Bayers claim that its products are safe if used properly, but environmentalists focus on the broader impact. Given the scientific backing, their concerns seem justified and important rather than exaggerated. In conclusion, the European Union ban the Bayer's product will cause a heavy impact to their reputation, and the scientists did not exaggerate the dangers of Bayer's product to the bees. That is all from me. Thank you.